Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about Lambda functions in Python, also known as anonymous functions. Now, don't let the name intimidate you. Lambda functions are actually very simple, and they're incredibly useful once you understand when to use them. By the end of this video, you'll understand what Lambda functions are, why they're called anonymous functions, when you should use them, and we'll go through multiple simple examples. Let's get started. So what is a Lambda function? In Python, a Lambda function is a small anonymous function. Anonymous just means the function does not have a name. Normally, when we create a function in Python, we use the def keyword. For example, in this code, we define a function named add. It has two parameters, a and b. Inside the function, we return a plus b. That's the end of the function. But sometimes we want to create a very small function just for a quick operation. That's where Lambda functions come in. A Lambda function lets us write a function in a single line. Now let's talk about Lambda function syntax. The syntax for a Lambda function looks like this. So it has three parts: the Lambda keyword, the arguments, and the expression that gets returned. Unlike regular functions, Lambda functions automatically return the result of the expression. You do not write and return. Let's recreate the add function from before using a Lambda function. Here's what a regular function looks like. Now here's the Lambda version of the same function. Now we can call it the same way, like this. With two arguments passed in. Here's our output for the function call. It's 8. So what happened here? We created a Lambda function that takes a and b, adds them together, and returns the result. Now let's talk about Lambda functions without assigning them to a variable. Lambda functions are often used without even storing them in a variable. For example, like this. Here's the add function again. The code gives us the same output, 8. This code creates the function and runs it immediately, but in practice, Lambda functions are most useful when we pass them into other functions. I'll show that soon. Here's another Lambda function example. We're going to create a Lambda function that squares a number. Here's what the regular function looks like. Def square x, return x times x. Now here's the Lambda version of the same function. The variable square equals lambda x, return x times x. We use it like this. By making a print statement with the function call inside and passing in a argument, in this case 6, into the function. From running that code, our output is 36. Again, this is just a shorter way to write a simple function. Lambda functions can also return Boolean values. For example, in this code, we make a variable called isEven and assign it a lambda function that has one parameter, x, and returns does x modulo 2 equal 0. Now we can test numbers like this. We'll print out a function call, two function calls, one with the value 10 and one with the value 7. The output for 10 is true. The output for 7 is false. This lambda function checks if a number is even. So, where are lambda functions actually useful? So far, lambda functions might just seem like a shorter way to write functions, but their real power appears when we use them with functions like map, filter, and sorted. Let's look at an example. Here's how to use lambda functions with the map function. The map function applies a function to every item in a list. Here's an example list called numbers. If we want to square every number, we can use a lambda function inside of the map function and assign it to a variable named squared. Here's what happened. The map function loops through the list. The lambda function squares each number, and the results are returned as a new list. That new list contains the numbers 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. This is a very common lambda use case. Here's an example of using a lambda function with the filter function. The filter function lets us keep only items that match a condition. Here we have a list called numbers. Let's keep only the even numbers. we'll make a variable named evens and assign it the filter function with a lambda function inside that checks if numbers are even, and then pass in the list named numbers for it to check. Then we'll print it out. Here's the output. It's a list with the numbers 2, 4, and 6. The lambda function checks each number, and filter keeps only the ones that return true. Okay, now let's use a lambda function with the sorted function. Lambda functions are also useful when sorting data. For example, let's say we have a list of tuples named people. If we want to sort by age, we can do this. We made a variable named sorted people and assigned it to the sorted function. Inside the sorted function, we first pass in the list named people. It uses the lambda function to sort the list named people based on the second element, which is index 1 of each item within the list. The original list named people remains unchanged, and a new sorted list is assigned to the variable named sorted people. Here's the output of that code in the terminal. You can see the numbers are sorted in ascending order. It goes from 20 to 25 to 30. The lambda function tells Python use the second value in each tuple for sorting. So what are the limitations of lambda functions? Lambda functions are intentionally very limited. They can only contain one expression and no statements. So things like loops, multiple lines, and assignments won't work. If your function becomes more complex, it's better to use a regular function with the def keyword. Now, when should you use a lambda function? You should use lambda functions when the function is very small, it's used only once, and it's being passed into another function like map, filter, or sorted. You should avoid lambda functions when the logic is complicated, you need multiple steps, and readability becomes worse. In those cases, just use a normal function. Here's a quick recap. Lambda functions are small, anonymous functions written in one line, created using the lambda keyword, often used with map, filter, and sorted. The syntax looks like this. the Lambda keyword, then the arguments for the function, then the function's expression. And here's an example of an actual Lambda function. They are a simple but powerful tool once you start working with Python functions more. And that's a quick introduction to Python Lambda functions or anonymous functions. If you are learning Python, understanding Lambda functions will make your code cleaner and more flexible, especially when working with lists and functional programming tools. Alright, that's it for this video. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I'll see you guys in the next one.